It's L-I-L, man. J-O-E-C-O-C-A-M-O. Holla at me, man. Somebody want y'all to do for me on this one, man. Come on now, say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. Y'all know me, L-I-L-J-O-E, same OG. Back in the club and I've been low key. Pass that drink, pass that weed. To the bar, let's get tipsy. You know Hennessy and ice on me, and I'm gon' get it straight bubbly with the free to the top in the VIP. So put them grands up, gon' put your hands up. Cleveland in here, I want everybody to stand up. We been drinking, the beats banging, so man up. And we sweating bad, so what the cut? Put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. Jimmy, put your hands up, wave side to side. Oh yeah, she wanna ride with a star tonight. No, she wanna ride with a baller, right? Oh no, she wanna ride with a Hurston tie. All day, all night, with me, whole life. She wanna drop the top and talk that talk and walk that walk and make girls wanna model. She wanna sip out of Grey Goose bottles, ride good out of brand new Tahoes. Oh yeah, 150 on the throttle. Oh yeah, she's bad like hollows. Everywhere she go, they follow. Underneath her clothes is cargo. The riches up, escort go-go. The riches up, escort go-go. Put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. You know just how it go. You know just how it go. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. You know just how it go. You know just how it go. Come on, girl, get that cash. Come on, girl, get it fast. Make that man spill his glass. Make that man spill that cash. Come on, girl, break that bag. Then ride off in this shack. Make that man give you half. Revoke his ghetto pass. Hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. Yeah.
Are you gonna listen to the move?
I've been out the loop since '09.
Yeah, I'll be back to get at that though.
Check this. I'm at the motherfucking house last night. Guess what the fuck I see?
What you see?
Shamika, what's up?
Fuck you think you fucking with? It's Maxwell, bitch.
Fuck you in them shoes.
Bitch, I'm about to stalk you with these shoes.
I thought I told you to get a jump to Crazy D.
I did give it to Crazy D. You know, D, you must have seen money in that. You know, he used to produce those nudie DVDs.
Fuck you, thin man. I know you did it.
Don't let your mouth write a check, so I will take it out on your ass. Damn, man. Is you serious?
I don't appreciate being roughed up by men. or should I say male bitches.
Yeah, you gonna work out.
And we look for young ladies like you to host them.
I look like somebody that can host your videos.
That's right. So go change, cause we ain't got all day.
Get off the house.
Really good, though. What's all that bullshit?
Crazy. What the hell? How you in my room?
Film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society, podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.
What's going on? What is going on? Welcome to another great episode of #TFR Podcast Live. That's the Film Review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. And do we have another great show for you today? First of all, we want to shout out to everybody that's listening and watching us on Periscope, Vimeo, a certain social media site, and the Film Review Live channel, the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Make sure you go over there and smash the subscribe button, smash the like button. Let them know that we're here. Do we have a great jam-packed show with reviews that will save you pocket revenue when dealing with the on-demand, or for those who are braving the theater situation, will save you pocket revenue. Yes, those reviews on the Film Review, right? So, first of all, as usual, before we begin and get into the show, we need to ask, as always, how was
my week was okay.
Your week?
It was okay. Today has been crazy. So I was running late, drinking this water, spilling water all over me just now.
Oh, wow.
And, but other than that,
it's pretty good. It's been a crazy week.
Well, and then Jeremiah, the singer, R&B singer, is in the hospital with COVID. He's in ICU, so we are definitely sending prayers to him and his family.
Yes, absolutely. We definitely have to say, prayers up to everyone who is catching COVID. Yes. Right?
And prayers, and strength to those who have lost family and friends,
from COVID.
From COVID,
that's right.
Yeah. And go ahead.
And we want to shout out to Twix Vegas. We want to tell him get well soon. He let everybody know that he contracted COVID and pneumonia at the same time. So people, listen. We were looking at a map, and we're going to be talking about that map on Monday. We're going to be talking about that map on Monday on the Monday show, #observations TFR. That says that 89108, which includes the area of 89106, is deep blue with coronavirus. Deep blue with coronavirus. So I've been noticing people partying like it's 1999, right? Be careful, because the powers that released it in the first place are constantly re-releasing it and making it mutate. That's all I'm going to say on that, and we'll talk about that in later shows. But let's get to what we're talking about today. Let's look at some memes. Before we get started with the reviews. You know how we do. Okay. So this one right here is on the theme that we've been talking about most recently on both shows, right? Because this is still the place for the American black politics. So, as you see a fox, and you see he's got a hand puppet. And we've talked about the hand puppets. What's up to Tanya M. Congress? She just checked in. You know, we know about that. And the sheep, the sheep are being fooled by the wolf, right? So, you know, you take that on whichever side that you would want to take that on, you know, we have no dog in that hunt other than American black people, right? So let's go to the next meme here. This next meme is pretty good. I thought it was good. Make sure you smash the like button, share button, because we have some reviews today, including a sleeper called Nicole. If you have not seen this film called Nicole, you are sleeping on a film, and we're going to give you the review, and then you're going to go right there and go watch it, because it's incredible. I need to get back in shape, but I'm kind of waiting to see if the world is going to end before I put any real effort in. Is that some of the people out there? Or is that your dilemma? Some of your dilemma? Like you were really getting it in before COVID dropped in January, February, March. You were really getting it in, but then, you know, you kind of tapered off a little bit. Yeah, I say I know the feeling. Okay, people, here we go. So, here's another one. Remember how careful you were back in March and April? Start now again. Seriously. Sad face. You have to begin to be serious about COVID again. You have to begin to be serious about COVID again.
We talked about this because traditionally the fall and winter, that's when people get sick anyway. They catch the cold or they catch the flu. Some people catch pneumonia. Well, now just add COVID on top of that, right? So this is a type of year where people do pick up viruses. So you have to be
And see, out here in Las Vegas, see, like back in Cleveland, Ohio, you know, when it's cold, you see some snow, you go, and your breath is doing the cloud, right? Here, what happens is, what people don't notice, like they'll get up in the morning and the sun is shining and it's like 65, but it's this cool air breeze, real slow, running through, and it catches you with a chill. Right? And then later it goes down a few degrees, and that wind seems to pick up a little bit, and I've seen people out in shorts just because it was 65. But this is flu weather, and no matter what, when the equinox happens, that changes things. So remember, people, start to be as safe as you were, because I fear that some of our greats are going to be coming down with this, right? Now here's another meme. Smash the share button, smash the like button, right? Here's another meme. This was interesting to me. We repeat what we don't repair. We repeat what we don't repair. Why we keep seeing the same things over and over and over again on that proverbial hamster wheel is because we have not repaired it, thus so it comes back again and again. So here's another meme, right? Here's another meme that's very, very interesting. Here we go. Great minds think alike because they are on the same frequency. Great minds think alike because they are on the same high frequency. We're going to say that right there.
That's true. That is.
I had to put the word in there.
True.
High. Okay. This one right here. This one I thought was pretty good, and I think it was comical. It was funny. I thought it was comical.
Please
don't pet my peeve. Please don't pet my peeve. Like, if you see that it's something that's disagreeable, that I don't like, and it's disagreeable to my spirit, to my soul, please don't intentionally pet
But
my peeve.
people will do that. But when they pet your peeve, that reveals to you who they are, right?
That's true.
So you look at it and you say, okay, well, this person they know this irritates me. They're trying to push my buttons. Okay, so you're not the friend I thought you were, right?
Right. Please don't pet my peeve.
Right.
Okay, people. Here's a distraction. Christmas punch. 2 cups of orange juice, 2 cups of cranberry juice, 1 cup pineapple juice, 1 cup ginger ale. I could say put a cut of ginger in that to really, really spice it up. And I think you have a nice, healthy drink. What you think for the holidays, right? Or take the ginger ale away and just put the ginger in it.
Okay.
And you'll have a nice toddy. A cool toddy.
You're using the type of ginger ale we use.
Huh? What?
But unless you're using the type of ginger ale we use, like it's really strong, organic ginger ale.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And then too, if they add not the sweet cranberry juice, but just a real straight organic cranberry juice that doesn't have any sweetener in it, and it's bitter. Like you said, and add ginger in it.
They're gonna, it is the holidays. They are gonna have just a little sweet.
But the pineapples make anything even more sweeter than it is.
They're necessary.
Yeah.
So try that. We just changed it up a little bit.
You can add some turmeric in it.
Switch the drink up. Yes, to give it a little healthiness, right? Okay, people. So this right here is the zeitgeist for the night. Now, what is a zeitgeist? We need to know the definition of zeitgeist. This is very important. Hopefully you smash the share button, smash the like button, because on #observations TFR Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, it's myself and my sister Tanya M. Congress, and we have discussed the situation with the 500 Indians, right? The 1 million dreamers, the 90,000 refugees, and the partridge in the pear tree to keep it festive for the holidays, right?
I bought a new phone and I hate it.
Okay, so
okay, you ready?
Yes, we need the definition of zeitgeist. What is zeitgeist?
Okay, zeitgeist. The defining spirit or mood of a particular period of history as shown by the ideas and beliefs of the time.
Okay, here we go, people. So this is a zeitgeist, right? Now, for all those who have not been paying attention, we told you on our show about the 500 Indians that they are planning on bringing to this country, and we asked what happens to American black jobs. So this was on Fox News, so you have to watch everything, because there was the Million MAGA March over this weekend in Washington, right?
Right. Before you break into that, this is an even better definition. It'll give you a little more to help lead into that more. Okay. The zeitgeist is a concept from 18th to 19th century German philosophy, meaning spirit of the age. It refers to an invisible agent or force dominating the characteristics of a given epoch in the world history.
Okay, so now this came across Fox News because they were covering it, right?
Right.
And right here, if you miss just a minute of #TFR Podcast Live, you miss a lot. Now, we were telling you about this. So this is a zeitgeist. This is to go into the psyche of American blacks, right? To say that we're in it together. We're in it together. our sisters and brothers. We're in it together. Listen. So this is a sign that was purportedly supposed to be there at the rally. And it says, coming for blacks and Indians first. Welcome to the New World Order. Okay. Coming for blacks and Indians first. Okay. Welcome to the New World Order. Now, what is the odds that a Democrat operative was not out there in the audience to put this sign up to make American blacks say, yes, us and the 500 Indians that are coming to take our jobs, we need to bond together. And when we bond together, you know what's going to happen? When American blacks and the Indians, the 500,000 Indians, they're going to let in, because we told you that Kamala was not African American, but she was Indian, and you didn't believe us. When they come in, and that's what Biden said, you can go watch the tape. Right. When they bring them in, right, and even though, and we're going to bond together, they're going to say, yes, we're together. But they always use us because we have the largest voice. And then they get all the set-asides that were supposed to be set aside for us. Right. So what they need to do is get in line, because, you know, American blacks are going to be all right. So this right here is a sign for people to see, to get all up in arms. And someone posted this, and I automatically went to do the research on it. Yesterday evening, or was it this morning? I did it this morning. Yeah, I did the research on it this morning, and this is what this is.
Placed by an invisible agent.
Right, it's an invisible agent, but you know what? The person who posted it looks like to me, because they're into trying to make money. So what they're going to do is try to get with the Indians, right, when they get here, to try to get money out of them, which means that in the end, when they're getting money out of them, they're going to drive American black people to go shop with the Indian, which is defeating our purpose. Can we get our reparations?
Well, then, first of all, of course, you know, that was planned because people don't announce what they're going to do if they're going to do something not like that.
No, right? They really don't.
And then if we look back at history, we can go as far back as with the Black Panthers, right? It's known that they had plants, right, yes, and an organization, right? Right. So, and they had people who, well, just like today, we can take it to the different protests, right? They had agitators planted within the protests to start up trouble, problems, to get people, right? So they always have operatives. They did it with Malcolm X. They had an operative also with Martin Luther King. So they always do this. It's just
what's up to Philly? I see you, Philly Mac in the building, right? Tanya Kranger said they don't have to worry about the world ending right now. I'm going to work out. That juice sounds good. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay. So let's go forward. So the first review of the night, smash the share button, smash the like button, is a sleeper. You are not seeing this film, but this film is so well constructed. It is independent, baby, and it's well put together, right? As we come down in the residuals of the dead season, right? Okay. The movie is called Nicole, right? It's 2020, came out in 2020. It's on Prime, it's on Amazon Prime Video. That's right? Comes with Amazon, right? It stars Tamika Shannon as Nicole. That's the lead character. You see she has an axe in her hand, so you know where we're going with the story. Stefan Wesley Green is John, and an ensemble cast which make up supporting scenes to move the story along. Okay, so let me tell you, first of all, this film is not pedestrian in any way, shape, or form. Matter of fact, film is actually told through images. Why? Because film was a silent medium at first before talkies came in, right? So everything had to be told through images. So often when we break down films, we talk about how the images and the sizes and the cinematography and how it moves and the camera moves to tell the story, right? So you have to be set and ready to watch. You have to have your popcorn, you have to have your drink that you're gonna have, your snack, everything, because you do not you don't want to miss one frame of this film called Nicole. You don't want to miss one frame because the opening sequence is told through images.
Yeah.
It's told through images, and you have to be ready and set to go and watch it without disturbance, because you will miss plot, you will miss beats, story beats that come later in the film. And so you have to be there, watch it. This is not a pedestrian film. This is on a higher level of filmmaking. Not only is it color, but it's also black and white. So you have black and white and color sequences to tell the story. This is not a pedestrian film. Okay. So pedestrian means like every day, you know, like just walking down the street, just every day, la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di. This is not that film. You're going to enjoy this film. So here's the synopsis. Here's the hashtag TFR podcast live synopsis. A young woman must fight to keep her life together after an encounter which is a date from hell. A woman must fight to keep her life together after an encounter with a date from hell. Right? So the film opens up and you're introduced to a family. A family of three. A mother, a father, and a daughter. Right. Now the daughter is pretty tall, but the birthday cake said 5. They had 5 candles on the birthday cake. This girl is tall, which means that her age must have caught up with her height, because she was almost as tall as her parents, but she was supposed to be 5.
Yeah.
Right? So automatically that stuns you right there. You say, wow, the cake says 5 and this girl looks like she's a teenager. But no worries on that. She at least looks 12, right? Yeah. Preteen. She at least looks preteen. She doesn't look like she would be 5. But hey, you know, maybe she was eating her Flintstone vitamins, you know what I mean?
Well, part of the story is told a little because we see that her father's an alcoholic, right?
So, through the story, through the images.
Through the images, right.
That's right. So you have to stay.
Yeah, so maybe he ordered the cake and forgot he was
No. They
drunk.
put the candles in. And the candle, it said happy birthday.
Yeah, but when he ordered it, he might have been drunk.
Happy birthday, Nicole, and it had 5 candles, right? So you have to pay attention because they seem like they are the model family, but then other images within the storytelling tell you something opposite, like the father being addicted to alcohol, right?
Right.
So then it flashes forward and you are introduced to Nicole. Right. And she sits up in the bed. It seems like she had been dreaming about a past birthday. Right. And then she turns, she looks at her nightstand, and that's all we're going to tell you, because you have to see this film. It is well put together. The pacing on it, even though it is not a pedestrian film, the pacing on it is incredible.
Yes, it's entertaining.
It will have you entertaining, and it will have you cringing
and
at points and laughing at points, and you just know that somebody in the film needs some fan-app. Now, if you don't know what fan-app is, you need to go watch one of our episodes on hashtag observations TFR. We talk all about fan-app. But if you haven't seen that commercial yet, but anyway, So this film is well worth it.
It is.
The pacing, the storyline, and then her foil.
Yeah.
The John character, right? We're not going to tell what he does for a living, but he does something else for his pastime.
Yeah.
It's like a game to him, and he is, well, we're not going to say, you have to watch it. This film is worth watching. You will be entertained. If you did not know that this film existed, you will be pleasantly surprised. We are definitely telling you to see this film named Nicole on Prime, right? So let's go through the cinematography. Let's go through the breakdown of everything. Cinematography is a 10. Storyline through line, 10. Sound recording. The sound recording is beautiful in this because, you know, they have to have those eerie sound effects like horror, and then they have the way that the music soundtrack is going through her flashbacks in her mind, the L and the J cuts, beautifully done. That's a 10. Character arc. Her character arcs incredibly.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You know, like she goes from being melancholy to happy by the end of the film. You just have to watch the film. That's a 10. Acting, skill, emoting. The emoting in this picture, the close-ups, the medium shoulders to head shots, and then the close-in big head shots. Beautifully done. They will have you, some of the scenes will have you on the edge of your seat. I would suggest not eating something when the film, you'll know when the film gets into its main purpose. Right. And I would say eliminate eating at that point and watch the film. You will be, it's entertaining. Wardrobe and set. The use of minimalism, meaning that you see the office space and then you see the home space, but it's very minimal. It's not a lot of everything. It's very economical the way they tell the story. That's a 10. Locations, the outside locations which make the story. The Uber driver and all of that, you know what I'm saying, picking them up from different locations. That's a 10. Story beats. The story beats from the beginning, middle, and end. They all connect together. Very well done. Believability. Let me tell you something. There are some surreal scenes in this, right? But the believability of what it is, using the sound editing and the cuts on the film, right? It really makes it believable what you are seeing, right? Which makes it not, for the budget that they had, it makes it believable. It is real, and you will enjoy it. You won't be saying, no, that's a 10, right? Historic facts, showing you the city that they're in, right? And we're going to let you find that out for yourself. But it's a city that everyone knows, that everyone is familiar with. And they show you the city. And it's a historic points and facts to it. It is most definitely a 10. So what would you give Nicole?
I agree with everything you said. The only issue that I had is I thought that they would like open up and reveal why her personality was the way it was, right? Because when the film begins, clearly she's having issues, right? And but you know, towards the end, she does open up a little more. She's more gleeful.
I think it's set to be a part 2. I think
it has
Nicole
to, because it's
two.
Just kind of like there's this one. See, I don't want to give anything away, but it's just like her personality is like up and down, kind of like you mentioned that medication fan app. Her personality is like up and down, and that's what keeps the film interesting because you never know what she's gonna do. And so it was a good film. It was really entertaining. I would give it a 9.
You would give it a 9.
And the only reason why I would give it a 9 is because I needed clarification on why her character is the way she is. Like mentally. Because you will see flashbacks of her family. But they don't tell you what went wrong. Because clearly you'll see in the film something happened, something went wrong, but they don't tell you why.
I think
or what happened.
I think what's so good about it is that it kind of alludes to it.
Yeah,
and at the end,
alludes to it. Yeah.
At the end of who you see at the end of the film in her world,
right? What she may have done.
It alludes to something, right? So what you see in her world, so. Okay. That's why I said, oh, okay, that kind of answers. But it does need to be a part 2 because she's so smooth. She's smooth. It appears that it's like smooth. She's smooth at what she does. So I give it, Nicole. Okay. I give it a 10.
Yeah, and I give it a 9. So 9 isn't bad.
It's not bad. It's well worth it. Well worth it. Okay. So the next film of the night is a documentary, people. It is called They Say I'm Different. Now, you know who this is, right? This is Bette Davis. Now, for those of you who only heard of Bette Davis, the actress, from the late 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you don't know who Bette Davis is, a true funketeer, I don't know what's going on, but that's why we're here to bring this review to you. This is Bette Davis, right? Bette Davis. So this is a documentary. It's called They Say I'm Different, Bette Davis. Also on Amazon Prime.
Right.
We're hitting on Amazon Prime tonight, right?
But you know what? Let's say what made us interested in her is because we watched the Miles Davis film.
That's right.
And then the film,
he married.
He married Bette Davis, so that's how.
No, he married Betty, whatever her name was, and
at
gave
the time,
her last name.
gave her the last name. So he married Betty, and she was introduced to us in the Miles Davis film.
She took Miles Davis from 2-piece and 3-piece suits, to his more jazz fusion, bitches brew type era. Yeah. Having worked with Jimi Hendrix before, Betty then married Bette Davis, took Miles into the next era of his life, right? And got him hip into the new era, right? Into the 70s. So this film, the cast is Bette Davis herself, stock footage, and you kind of see her, but then you don't. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. Later, Bette Davis, you really don't. You see Miles Davis stock footage. He talks. Greg Errico, also Greg Tate, and Desmond Nakino. Right? All of these are, and then they have other footage of other people, but there are band members. And they try to bring her out, but there's something something traumatic happens in her life. But we're going to get to that. So here's the hashtag TFR Podcast Live Synopsis. A woman brings the sexually heightened brand of funk to the masses while influencing her husband's movements in jazz, and walks away after a devastation. Right? She just disappears one day, and no one sees her and hears from her until years later. But there's a devastation that happens. So her ego is, you know, people often talk about spirituality, and like the Chinese talk about, like they said that Bruce Lee was born under the dragon, so that's why they call Bruce Lee was the dragon. So he named his film Enter the Dragon, because he was on the Chinese calendar, he was the dragon.
Okay.
Just a little information there for people who didn't know that. The Enter the Dragon, though a film that was produced by Caucasians, but he had large input in it because he was a superstar. Right?
Right.
And they knew that he was born, and he wanted to push it that Enter the Dragon because he was born under the sign of the dragon. Like some people were born under the sign of the pig. Right? But anyway, so just a little context there. So her soul animal, her birth soul animal, I don't know how you would describe it, was the crow. Right? Something happens and she no longer hears the crow. And that's as far as we're going to go with that. So you need to watch this documentary. They Say I'm Different. Betty Davis.
And her music is really funky. Like
Really?
it's like a cross, like kind of between like a Beyonce, Prince, Tina Turner. Like really.
She
her
was
music
first.
is nice. She was first.
Yeah.
So if you would just imagine the combination of a Prince, Tina Turner, and Beyonce.
Right.
Yeah.
She
A little
was
bit of
definitely
Madonna.
first. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was first though. She was definitely first. So we're playing the trailer, you know, in the back of us. So look, let's break down on the breakdown of how this documentary breaks down as far as our breakdown as far as cinematography, storyline, all that. Okay, so the cinematography on this is a 10. The use of drone shots, as you can see within the display, right? The storyline through line, setting up who she is. They introduce you to her fully concepted, her full concept, like what you see here on the screen. And then they back you up and start from her childhood, who her influences are. One of her biggest influences was her father, right? So the storyline through line on this is beautifully done, right?
It is.
The sound recording, bouncing from her recordings on cassette tape, telling her life story, to the live performances, to interviews of people who knew her. Beautifully done. I mean, the sound, there's no miss in the sound. It's like excellent. Everything is on level. There's nothing worse than a film that has poor sound where there's dips and level. You can get away with picture, but you can't get away with dips in sound, right? Character arc, knowing who she is, then starting from the beginning and then building her out to introduce a new audience to who she was, the difference between her character and who she is as a person, right? Beautifully done. That's a 10. We brought a new category for this, right? Empathy build. Does this documentary build empathy for the subject of the documentary? And the answer is positively yes. That's a 10. Wardrobe and sets. You can see her wardrobe already, right? And the sets that they used to tell her story on stage, because she was a performance artist. You can tell by the cover, right? And she was like a Lady Gaga before Lady Gaga. Just naturally having that ability to tell a story. And people seeing her on stage compared to who she was off stage as this demure lady, right, beyond reproach. Then you get up on stage and then she's a hard out funk rocker,
star, entertainer,
sex driving, hard hitting funk female on stage, bringing it, right? Beautiful. The locations, showing you the locations between Pittsburgh, where she was born, and going out to California, and Jimi Hendrix period, the Miles Davis period, her period with her band, because Miles Davis told her, you need to go out there and show them what you can do. You can't be off of under me, and you can't be under me
Right.
You know, you have to shine, right? And then it talks about Miles Davis and certain things that a lot of the women that have been involved with Miles Davis, were involved with Miles Davis, have said. All right. Story beats. The Crow is a major story beat all the way throughout the film.
Yeah.
Her existence as a child, how she grew up, and how it affected her later in her life and her stardom.
Right.
Beautifully told. That's a 10. Believability, believing who she is.
Yeah.
Right? Being able to believe both personas.
Yeah.
That's a 10. Historical facts. Talking about Pittsburgh and talking about California during that time and the footage that they show you.
Yeah.
Right? There are certain places that no longer exist.
Yeah.
They've been torn down and been replaced due to time and regentrification or just redevelopment, new urbanization.
Yeah.
Right? Historic fact, that's a 10. So what would you give They Say I'm Different?
I would give it a 10 because it was so interesting to have been introduced to her in the Miles Davis film that we watched. Just a little bit that we saw in the film made her seem really interesting, right? So when we saw that they had a documentary on her, we said, hey, let's watch it. But then when we watched the documentary and then find out how she kind of just, somebody that was like on top, who was like bubbling to be a huge star, and she had already had a following, just drops off the earth, just disappears,
Just
right?
totally disappears.
And so this documentary is so interesting, right? And then while we were watching this documentary, I said, they need to turn this into a film, right? And I could see Beyonce playing in this film.
It leaves you wanting more.
Yes, because her life is like interesting. She's not... It would be different if she was someone who was just another performer trying to make it, right?
Be like somebody else.
But this
she's
woman
an original.
was a star. I mean, she was at the height of her career, and they talked to different people who were working with her, like the different engineers, producers, and they just talk about how she was a really kind person and how she's so talented. Like the stuff that you hear about Prince being like talented and the writing and stuff, the stuff you hear about Tupac, right, who got in the studio and was just like a true artist writing, what you hear about Beyonce, right? And they said a lot of the same stuff about this woman, right? And she just poof disappears. And so her life is really interesting, and if it was brought to film, I could see it being an Academy Award winning performance, because her personality seems to be complex, but not in a bad way, in a good way.
You know, speaking of just veering off just a little bit, thinking about, we just saw, we watched Straight Outta Compton again yesterday.
Yeah, that was good.
And it was the scene just before Dre had to go off on some people who were drinking and the Suge Knight had, but he was in there and Pac was performing Hail Mary, right? And you know, Hail Mary came out way later. That was on the Illuminati album, right? But what people don't realize is artists sometimes record a lot of music, and then they say, okay, we're going to put this here, put that there. Something that doesn't make the double album will come back later. Or, you know, artists who are not in a time crunch in the studio. When they're in the studio and they have time to record, and I know most artists who are under a time crunch and they go in with the engineer who has a studio, and they're trying to record their hip hop or their R&B, they are recording the songs, the exact songs that are going to make the album then.
Like Prince, right? They said he had a vault full of music.
And some of the stuff he will pull out and use, and he might have recorded that 5, 6, 7 years ago, but it's in with the sound. It caught up to, or the sound caught up to where he was going, and he would use it. So when people complained about the film, said, well, Hail Mary wasn't out then, and he wouldn't have been performing that. How do you know? Because artists who are not under a time crunch record a lot of music, and it may not hit right then. So you give Betty a 10,
yeah.
Right? The one thing I will say about the Betty documentary is it leaves you wanting more. You really want to. She's because of the devastation. She is not as outgoing as she was.
Right.
And it leaves you wanting more. There are some gaps.
That's why I said it would make a great film, wouldn't it?
And so it leaves you wanting more, but that does not take away from what it is as a film.
Right.
So we give it a 10. Right. And now we're going to move on to our next presentation, right? Move on to our next.
These lights,
of the
right?
night.
It is hot.
Yeah, it's hot. Next. Here we go, people. So our next presentation is, where is it? That's Living, right? Let me bring this up. That is the wrong poster board. That is the wrong poster. That is not what we're looking at right now. No, this is a great show. I'm going to be reviewing that shortly. But that's not where we're going. We're going to another documentary. Okay. Right? And let me find it. Where is it? Hello? Where are you? That's not you. There we go. There she is. All right, people. This right here, this documentary right here is such a heartbreaking story when you get to hear about it. This documentary is about Zora Neale Hurston, right? Yeah. Zora Neale Hurston, originally produced in 2008 but remastered for 2020. Also on Amazon Prime. This is an Amazon Prime night that we're reviewing tonight, right?
It just happens to be.
That's Living.
Yeah.
The story of Zora Neale Hurston. The Zora Neale Hurston story, right?
Right.
So the cast, Zora Neale Hurston herself, you get to see it through stock footage, writings, and then there's a young woman named Karen Stevens. She portrays Zora Neale Hurston. She does the reenactments. It comes from a play that was put on back in 2008, but she does the reenactments, and in between them telling you the facts and showing you the images and having her act out Zora Neale Hurston, this is a beautiful piece.
It is.
Matter of fact, her niece is also in the film. She opens the film. Matter of fact, you hear her talking within the trailer, right? Richard Fitzpatrick, he plays Henry, the storyteller. So what you learn about Zora Neale Hurston in this story is that her father was the mayor of an all-black town in Florida. He was married to her mother. Zora Neale Hurston was the only child. The mother passes, right?
Yeah.
And then the father remarries, and that's as far as we're going to go right there with that, right? But in between time, she would go to the general store, and she would sit there where the men would tell stories, would tell stories of what was happening in the town, and she would sit there and she would listen and take in the language of the people in the town. She would take in the stories, and she retained these stories, right? And this interest in storytelling. So that's where Henry the storyteller is very intricate in this story, and you see this played out in reenactments, right? And as Zora began to grow, after her mother passed, she was a teenager. at that time, right?
Right.
And her mother passed, her father remarried, and something happens, and she has to go out on her own. And that's what we'll say with that. And let's go through the synopsis, right? The hashtag TFR Podcast Live synopsis, right? While working for the WPA, that's Works Progress Administration, Federal Theater Project in NYC 1935 through 1936, and the FWP, Federal Writers Program in Florida in 1938, Zora Neale Hurston produced works of fiction in the authentic voices of the people she surveyed. Right? So she was able, because the WPA and the FWP that basically paid for her travel, for her to not only record the dialects but also film. You see her actual footage for the FWP and the WPA in this. It's very interesting how Zora Neale Hurston was able to pick up and not only use her affluent nature. Her affluent nature came through being hired by these companies that saw her ability to write. Right? And they hired her to do this, to film as well as take photos. But what set her apart compared to her Caucasian counterparts is she could immerse herself into the culture and take part in the culture because she was a black woman. Right? And most of these cultures that they wanted to record before regentrification happened, because regentrification keeps happening, people. As you go through and you research history, you find out regentrification kept happening. It keeps happening. It's just called something else at different times, right? But so before they're moved out and they no longer exist and that culture is lost, WPA and the FWP make sure that they capture these. So she was able to immerse herself in some of her greatest works. Her greatest novels of fiction came from out of her experiences immersing in the people and creating a fictitious novel, a fictitious story that had a point about the existence of American black people, or the various cultures of black people in America at that time in the 1930s, right? So it's very interesting to see what happens. But then there's something that happens that derails her upward mobility.
Which is frustrating.
It's very frustrating because, you know, they plastered it on the front page, right? But when it was found out not to be true, it was just a little retraction on the last page of the newspaper. Bottom of page 6. Oh yeah, by the way, this really didn't happen. But by that time it was too late and people didn't hear it. And guess who did it to her?
It affected her career.
But guess who did it to her though?
You know, the whole idea of her becoming a writer.
Her own, but you have to watch the documentary. It is really well good. Worth watching. That's Livin, right? The Zora Neale Hurston story. And do you know, at the end of her life, she was substitute teaching, I tell that much. And the people didn't even know who she was. All black community didn't know who she was. But you have to watch it because they gave her top honor at the end of her life, right? She was broke at the end of her life after all of those successes, right? So let's break through. It's well worth watching to see how it is. And I always tell people all the time, you know, my mom always used to tell me, don't be around children.
Yeah.
That's what she always said. If it's not your own,
right,
don't be around them. That's what we'll say about that. That'll give you a hint to it,
But you know what I was thinking after we watched the documentary, I thought about how millions of dollars was made because of the book she wrote after, she passed. So, but it's just like her brilliance and all of her writings, and we all grew up in school. Well, I guess it depends, because I heard some schools don't have Black history classes, but most grew up learning about her, right?
But they never told this.
Yeah, but you just assume that because she was such a great writer that she made money off of her writing. I mean, that she was comfortable. Right. Because like I said, once she died, they made millions off of her.
I'm saying, I'm wondering, does she have a trust or a foundation? Or
because she didn't have any children.
Right.
So it's just like, yeah, it was a really good documentary.
Yes, well worth watching. So let's go through the breakdown of the documentary. Okay. Right. Cinematography. The use of the movement of the camera, introducing her niece, her great niece,
right,
Lucy Ann Hurston. Now it's real interesting to see that people have family, right? Like, we were just watching the last episode of The Good Yardbird, right?
Excellent.
And come to find out, George Washington had a nephew, a great nephew, that really didn't amount to a hill of beans. And that definitely does show you the sins of the father will be visited upon the family. That's what I would say to that, right? He definitely didn't stand up. If Washington was one thing, he surely was not as depicted.
The nephew was depicted as a coward, very cowardly, the opposite of what his uncle was known to be.
Right. So, cinematography is a 10. The use of images, introducing again her niece and using the story to retell the story. The use of stage props, of stage actors to retell the reenactments. Beautifully shot, beautifully lit. Sound and edits. The sound and the edits, because you had to go through actually hearing Zora's voice, some of the actual recordings that she did of the people, some of the images of the people that she surveyed, right? And cutting in between people who knew her, and that's a 10. Storyline, through line. The storyline from her being a child and wanting to jump for the sun, you'll see where that reference comes from. That's a 10. Character arc, going from where she was to her as a teenager to having to get on her own, arcing into who she was as a successful person, to being able to still keep her head up, even in certain uncertainty. That's a 10. Empathy build. Does this documentary build empathy for Zora Neale Hurston?
Yeah.
Right. Wardrobe and sets. I believe that the staging of the sets, it was believable.
It was believable.
You sit there and believe it. I do say that one of the scenes was the storytelling scene where you see Henry the storyteller. I think for film, unlike stage, it was a little too long. It was a little too long, or it should have had a third camera. It had two angles, should have had a third, and cut to a conversation that was happening in the pantry area or in the kitchen area of the general store. But they didn't do that. They stayed with that. But other than that, it was all right. Or wardrobe and sets is a 10. Locations, showing you the various locations where she was. Beautifully done, right? And showing you how that affected her writing, influenced her writing.
Yeah,
That's
she
a 10.
traveled the world.
She's traveled the world. Story beats from her, from a child to teenage to adult to later in her life. That's a 10. Believability. Do you believe the depiction of Zora Neale Hurston captured in this particular documentary? And the answer is yes, right? Historical facts. Full of historical facts. You will enjoy this documentary, right? Because it opens up and gives you information that you did not know about Zora Neale Hurston. You know, a lot of times people try to clean up situations, right? And they cleaned up in here too, right? But it was one thing, the allegations, well, you'll find that out when you watch it, right?
Yeah.
So that's a 10. So what would you give That's Livin?
I would give it a 10 also, because the storytelling was, they did a great job telling her story, and with the reenactments. I also learned that, we don't want to give it away, but during the time of crisis or need, her friends, because remember her mother passed away years ago, but as an adult, her friends were there for her. Like, they helped her even with this scandal that wasn't true. Her friends made sure that she made it through. She had some place to live. She had another job. And I mean, I'm talking about throughout different states. This wasn't just in one city. Like, she had friends who loved her, who lived across the United States of America, and if she needed something, she was able to go jump to another state and they would have a job for her. And it was saddening to find out how some people would try to take advantage of her
too, on the other side.
Right. You know, they would take advantage of her. They knew, they knew who she was, a talented writer. She was just, you know, in her right, she was successful financially. She may not have been, because they screwed her over on her money too, right? So this is a well done documentary, and I was sad, you know, because it's just the same damn story.
Same damn story. But you know what?
People being taken advantage of and used and not paid their worth. Or how about when you watch the documentary, she was hired to do something and she did it and they didn't pay her.
Yeah.
They didn't pay her money.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, so it's the same story. But I will say this. This is what I was a little bit disturbed by. So let me say, I researched and it said 4 books. And then it said, someone else said at least 6 books she had, right? But when they took her down, with this false accusation, she was working on her either 5th or 7th book. And she was going to have 3 or 4 more afterwards that kept getting, well, you'll watch the documentary and see. So that's Livin, the Zora Neale Hurston story. I get that a 10.
I do too.
I get that a 10. So let's move on. Okay, now people, the next show. I don't know if you ever grew up on, for a certain age group, Mutual of Omaha, right? Mutual of Omaha, they would show you the family. You know, Mutual of Omaha, that's how they would sell a lot of life insurance policies through having this programming that they sponsored called Mutual of Omaha, The Wild World, something like that it was called. But it was about the animals in the wild, right? So thanks to not only them, but also Jacques Cousteau. Remember Jacques Cousteau?
Yeah.
Jacques Cousteau would take the little submarines and go down, or he would put on his scuba gear and he would go down the oceans and he would be petting on the different fish and he would be showing you the different squid and all that. Well, this on Animal Planet, right, is a show entitled River Monsters, Man Eating Monsters, hosted by Jeremy Wade.
Yes, and we just happened to be like just chilling and flipping through the channel, and it caught our interest. So we just started watching.
Yeah, we started watching, and then they had like a binge watch on, right? So we were sitting Wild Kingdom, Mutual of Omaha. Thank you, Tanya M. Congress. That's right. It was Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom, and it would show you all the animals, and so that's why Animal Planet exists today due to Mutual of Omaha sponsoring Wild Kingdom and Jacques Cousteau. Why situations like this, shows like this exist. So look, what he does with river monsters, man-eating monsters, is he goes around into different communities. He could be in South America.
Right.
He could be in anywhere. He could be in Africa. He could be anywhere around the world.
Right?
Yeah, right. And he will search out people who have folklore about monsters. Kind of like the Loch Ness monster. You know, they said that couldn't really be because it's not enough food, not enough sources of food for a Loch Ness monster, something of that size, to live, right?
And there's one episode, the people thought that they were dealing with a mermaid, right?
Right, that's what they said, right? So, so he takes his fisher pole. Yes, you can see in the trailer there. He takes his fisher pole, his tackle gear, his different types of bait, and he goes out there to catch the monsters that have killed human beings before, or he suspects through all of his research those that have possibly killed human beings. And let me tell you something. Some of these creatures, like you see in the poster, they're bigger than humans,
deadly,
and their weight could definitely pull you under the water. They're grabbing your limbs and they're pulling you under. This is different than Jaws. This is like, these are piranhas. Remember that movie, The Piranhas? Remember that?
Yeah.
And then, but these are different types of fish, right? That are monsters that will munch your addict, right? So look, so here's the synopsis, right? So first of all, the cast are natives and storytellers, and encounters with gigantic fish. That's the cast, right?
Prehistoric looking fish.
Prehistoric looking fish, okay? So here's the synopsis. A man risks limbs and life to capture on film the catch of sea creatures so large they can only be called man-eaters. If you grew up on Jacques Cousteau, or you grew up on Wild Kingdom, the Animal Planet has shows that are right up your alley. Or if you are a fisherman, or you like the sea, or you like freshwater rivers, and you love aquatic situations, you're going to love this show because there is drama. They build up drama.
High drama.
I mean, this guy gets cut for it.
He does.
This guy gets smacked for it. I mean, he does it, right? And he introduces you to new tackle gear, new bait, new rods, all of that. So for people who are fishermen, who are out there who like to catch fish, to not like this, but just to sustain yourself with food, or you're just hopefully you're just doing it to sustain food and not trying to be a prize winning whatever. But this show is for you.
It is, and that's the thing, because a lot of the locals, the village people, I mean, they are catching fish to sustain themselves, their family. And the first story that we saw that grabbed us was a young man, black man, was out capturing fish to feed his family, and he disappears, right? And his whole family, they're looking for him, and they're trying to figure out what happened to him. And then so, like you said,
and then his body comes up later, months.
Yes.
Right? So what it is comes to find out it's a type of fish that jumps out of the water.
Yes.
And they surmised that they jumped out the water and smacked him in his head.
Yeah.
And he fell in the water unconscious and he drowned and then he got munched by the other predator fish.
Right.
Because there's catfish in there and piranha and he got... But anyway, you have to watch the show.
Because they showed this fish and the skull, like the head is just like as hard as like concrete.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it just jumps up like...
It smacks you.
Yeah, and it was just dangerous, you know. But these people, they have to survive, right? So they go into the water to find fish to feed their families. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, they're doing this, they're being murdered.
Well, they were not being murdered. They're being they're preying on fish, and fish are preying on them.
Yeah.
Right. And what's interesting is like when he was in Nicaragua.
Right.
You see the Indian melanin having people, but then you see the black people who are black in Nicaragua. You see the difference, right? You can see the difference in the people, and they all are coexisting together. But you see the black ones, and then you see the other ones that are European, raped. I mean, just to keep it 100. But anyway. Let's go through the breakdown now. Cinematography, that's a 10. Sound and edits. I mean, the way that they edit this is so fast paced. Like even when he's missing fish a couple of times, the way that they cut the edits, or the fish will cut the line with their teeth or whatever and get away, and he has to get out there and get it again. The editing keeps you on the edge of your seat, and you're interested every step of the way. That is a 10. Storyline, through line, the way he goes through the natives telling the story, or the people who have encountered these fish, these creatures, these man-eaters, and how he goes out and he breaks down what type of fish it possibly is, and then he goes out to catch it in fresh water, rivers. That's a 10. Character arc. Each episode, you get to see this guy Jeremy Wade, and each time his character arcs in a different way. Because he has to adapt and overcome. And so watching it, it teaches you how to adapt and overcome in some of the most undesirable situations. Like one situation, he was in a river where they have predators that munch you, but he was in a raft with some fins on, paddling, because the engines would scare the fish off. So he had to be in a raft with a hollow bottom where he had to pedal.
They could have chewed him alive. But he had to get the shot. He learned that from a mixed German man who was half black, half German, who was over there. But you'll watch the show. You'll catch up. You can see it. So character arc is a 10. Wardrobe and set. Like I said, the tackle and the different fish and the various areas that he goes to. He even went to Alaska. And what's so crazy about Alaska, I remember in the Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom, when you saw Alaska, you saw white polar bears and you saw nothing but ice caps. Snow.
Now when you go to Alaska, you see
greenery.
You see green grass. And you see bears. You see polar bears that are changing colors. They're changing from all white coats to brown, and they call one of them a grizzly. I'm like, there were no grizzly, they were polar bears. But now that the global warming or the atmosphere has changed so that Alaska is now not that polar sheet anymore. You see those bears, and those bears are coming up and say, okay, you're fishing, taking my fish, I'm gonna come take your fish. And that's exactly what they did. So I mean, it's real interesting. Locations, like I said, are a 10. If you wouldn't travel there, but you would like to see what it's like, they definitely give you a true representation of what it's like. Story beats, telling about the tale of the creature, setting up to get the creature, and then actually being successful, catching this creature or not. That's a 10. Believability. Everything in here is believable, even though I'm sure that they have to cut on timing and then say, get the fish again, we didn't get a good shot of it, and they have to do all that again, but the catch is the catch. So that's believable. That's a 10. Historic facts told about the region that they're in. Beautifully done. It is a education of the lands that he travels to. That's a 10. What would you give River Monsters?
I would give it a 10 because it's interesting, and like you said, we were just flicking through the channels and it captured our interest. And I love that he goes to these different parts of the world and he interviews these people, and you hear the different stories, and he talks to the family members. And it's kind of like, what's that show on TV? It's kind of like a TV program. It's kind of like Law and Order or something, except for it's in the water, because he's trying to solve this mystery. And then you have family members who are crying because their loved one is either missing or dead, or so it's very interesting. This one episode that we saw, it was a bear. They said it was a baby bear, right? And this bear would be considered like a toddler age. And this bear was determined not to leave the area that he was in because he was getting fish to feed himself, right? And so they like trying to shoot a bear off. Now, mind you, he's not bothering them. He's not trying to attack them. He's like, he sees them with the cameras, and the bear knows that these people are out of their element because he's on the bear's right, it's his house. And so they like shoot in his direction, not at him, but they try to scare him by shooting. And like that didn't work. Like nothing worked.
Yeah, because he took the fish right off his line and he ate the fish and he came back. He said, y'all look like some tasty morsels. So the dude took his Smith & Wesson silver plated gum rubber handled Smith & Wesson 38 and he fires off a warning shot, and the bear moves a little bit, but then he comes back.
And the bear doesn't attack him or anything, right?
No, but it was like, well, I think that we should move because he's marking his territory.
Right. I'm like, this is his house. Y'all invading his land.
That's what's wrong. That's the only thing that I see what's wrong with this is they're invading and they wonder why the animals munch. But it'd be different if they lived there. The people who live there, then they know how to treat the animals, and the animals live in an ecosystem along with the humans that are there.
Right.
So that's and then only when they go into places that they're not supposed to go do they get their butt munched. Right? So you gave it a 10?
Yep.
So I give monsters, I give river monsters, man-eating monsters, I give it a 10, right? Moving right along to the last review of the night is a show about dating. It's called Ready to Love, Last Resort.
On network.
That's right. So cast, hopefuls looking for love. 21 hopefuls looking for love. Created by Will Packer. Host
Uncle Tommy, right?
Well, nephew Tommy. Nephew Tommy Miles from the Steve Harvey Show.
Okay.
Thomas nephew Tommy Miles from the Steve Harvey Show, right? So, this is one that my wife was watching for the first season. Right, first or second season,
This is the second season,
Yeah, second season. So she was watching this, and then I just, watched the end of the first season. So when this started up, I said, let me watch it. So what it is, obviously, COVID exists. So what they did was they found a resort to put them in a bubble. Right. So they put them in the bubble. It's 21 hopefuls, right? And so you get to introduce to women and men, and they get to commingle, and they get to know one another. Like one person might talk to 3 or 4 different people, right?
Right.
And people are supposed to understand that. But where human nature kicks in,
right,
there will be some cattiness, and there will be some jealousness, and there will be some backstabbing, and there will be some treachery, and there will be some elimination. So let's read the synopsis, the hashtag TFR Podcast Live. Synopsis: 21 guests at a resort must mix and mingle to find love and hope to be one of the final 3 couples standing on Ready to Love. They hope to be one of the final 3 couples. They want to be one of the final 3 couples standing, because other than that, you know, it starts out with the women, and then the women are able to eliminate 2 dudes, and then the dudes come up, their week come up, then they're able to eliminate 2 women, and it goes down until it whittles down to the 3 who end up in relationship, right?
This season they're in Houston, Texas.
That's right, Houston,
the first
Texas.
season they were in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's right, right? So it is it's an entertaining show, and it shows you human nature, right? And how, like, the American black women are trying to keep sisterhood in the middle of all this and try to be sisters. The fellas just seem to go work out, and they're doing their push-ups and things, and everything seems to be fine. It doesn't seem like they're having any dissertation, not yet, right? But the women are trying to be, we're sisters, but for some reason, that cattiness sets in, and it becomes drama filled, which makes it well worth watching.
It is, and the guys seem to really always get along, you know, really well. And so it's interesting to see all the different personalities, the different professions, and to see all of the people interacting with each other. And this is just a great show on OWN Network. They have a lot of great programming.
But you know what I found out about OWN? And we'll probably have this either on the Monday show or on next Sunday show. Monday through Friday show or the Sunday show. But I found out that OWN has been sold to the Discovery Network. The Discovery Network deals in animals and, you know, world travel, and mostly discovering animals. Animal Planet is part of it. The Discovery Channel is part of it. It's usually exotic places with exotic animals. And I was trying to figure out, how does OWN fit into being in a network that is about basically discovering different things about the world that have mostly to do with exotic locations and animals. And I'm just wondering how OWN women, I don't know how OWN like really fits in, because because OWN has Ayala Von Zant.
Under the Discovery Channel, they have other networks.
All the ones that I saw had.
They have like the home channel. You know, is it TLC or something under it? Like
no, TLC is not under that that I saw. I'm going to have the banner to look at it. But I'm just saying,
shows with other people.
I'm just saying, like, the Discovery Network is about discovering animals. And so I was just wondering, was someone trying to be funny when they purchased OWN? You know, were they saying that we're going to discover the Negroid? I'm just asking questions, but I'm going to have the lineup, because they show it and they say Proud, this, that, and they say Discovery Channel Networks, and then Animal Planet, and thing about
isn't HGTV and all of that part of it? TLC.
No, HGTV. I have to look there. You can look that up real quick.
My phone failed.
Look. So, I'm just trying to wonder. So we'll figure that out, because that seems kind of strange. And I'm like, well, Oprah. So
No, with Strangers Obama in this book tour thing.
Okay, yeah, but we're not talking about that. Okay, so let's do the breakdown on it.
Okay.
Let's do the breakdown. That was just an observation that, observations comes on Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. That's myself and my sister, Tanya M. Congress, Monday through Friday. Make sure you tune in on the Film Review Live channel. Smash the like button, smash the share button. Matter of fact, smash the like button on this right now, because we have given you some information. We have given you reviews that will save you pocket revenue.
Well-rounded. It covered education, like animals. We talked about. We gave you some history. Zora Neale Hurston.
Right, kind of like the Discovery Network does, along with the own channel on it. But anyway, okay, cinematography on this, beautiful. The way they show the beautiful water and they show the angles, that's beautiful. A 10.
Right.
Sound and edit.
Right.
The L cuts and the J cuts and the use of transplanting audio, that's a 10. Storyline through line, that's a 10.
Right.
Character art, taking these people, this is reality TV, and building characters out of them and then arcing them to the end, that is a 10. That's it's different than Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah. Or The Bachelor.
Because Love and Hip Hop is like, they're already who they are.
Right.
And you're just there to see the fight.
Right.
This is people restraining themselves, right? So the arc
and meeting each other for the first time, right?
Empathy build. Is there empathy for some characters? Yes. I have empathy for this one character, and my wife said, "Oh no, she's a meanie." And I said, "I don't know. I think someone who is tattletaling is going to be going home." And she said, no. So, I mean, it's well worth. It's well worth, if you're married or you're dating, it's well worth watching this, right? Wardrobe and sets. The wardrobe that the people bring to be at the pool and to enjoy the nice weather.
Clothing, nice hairstyles.
Yeah, it's 10. And what I like is I like seeing black women getting their hair wet and not worrying about it. I'm sure that's an old stereotype from years ago. But it's the one that she just dips in the water and goes, because she's wearing it natural straight. Yeah. And then when she comes out, it's done again. It's beautiful. And, hey, she doesn't care.
Right.
Locations. That's the end of the relaxer was one of the greatest things, I think.
Do you think that Chris Rock documentary kicked it off?
I think so. I was just thinking that. I was just thinking good hair.
Chris Rock did a great thing with that documentary.
For his daughters,
yeah,
right?
He did.
Locations. The location where they're at on the resort, that's a 10.
Yeah.
Story beats. Connecting the different love interests and how the women are going to react when they see their love with another, interacting with another woman in the story beats, and how it's going to go down. Right? Yeah. That's a 10. Yeah. Believability. This is very believable, right? Even though it's a situation that you would say, under real circumstances it wouldn't happen, but it's believable under this situation. That's a 10. Yeah. Historic facts. Talking about Houston and the way that they discuss Houston, that's a 10.
Yeah.
You don't have to give them a 10, right?
Yeah.
So, what would you give? I would give
it
this show?
10 because it's well put together, and I like the cast of people. Beautiful cast of nothing but black men and women from Houston, and they're looking for love, right? And nephew Tommy is a great host, and he's funny. His humor lightens everything up, and I like the camaraderie between like the men and with the women too. Also, sometimes it's a little bumping heads, but they do work together as a team. And then you'll see, like, by the time the season is almost over towards the end, you see that they have created some type of like friendship, family type thing, because they've all gone through this experience together. And so it's a really good show.
Okay. So Tanya M. Congress sent in, and so I'm gonna give this show. I'm gonna give this show Ready to Love, Last Resort.
Yes.
I'm gonna give it a 10. All right. Okay. So Tanya M. Congress writes, shows on Discovery, Space Launch Live, Gold Rush, Rush, White Water, Street Outlaws, Faster in America, Alaskan Bush People.
Yeah, that's the Discovery channel. You're talking about the.
But I mean, this is what Discovery deals in.
Well, that's
and
the
most
Discovery
of their,
channel.
Yeah. But most of their channels, though, deal in that. Like the Animal Planet is under the Discovery.
But that
network.
right there, she's.
But I'm just saying. But I'm just going through. I'm just saying what they go through.
Right,
I'm just
that's
saying,
the Discovery
she's
channel.
owned by Discovery Network, though. Owned. And listen to what else they have. They have Alaskan Bush People.
Right. Under this Discovery channel. Right.
Homestead Rescue.
Right.
Right. Expedition Unknown, Alaska, The Last Frontier. Like these are all Discovery.
That's the Discovery, right? That's the channel.
Expedition X.
Right.
Anyway.
And they have a show called Storm Chasers, right? But see, that's the channel, Discovery Channel.
What I'm saying is, but it's a net.
You didn't break. It's a net, but it's two different things.
I know it's a network.
You do know it's two different things.
Right. And on the network,
she gave you what's on that one channel.
On the channel, right? But on the network of channels,
the umbrella.
They have the umbrella of channels.
Right.
They have Animal Planet.
Then they have the home channel where you build homes and rehab homes.
But it's all.
And then I think one is the show that other show I watch.
But it's all about investigation and learning about.
And
things.
the other channel, TLC, I believe, under the umbrella, right? They talk about relationships.
I'm gonna bring that up.
The 30-day, 90-day fiance or something like that.
30-day, 90-day fiance, and then they got OWN. I mean, it just. Animal Planet and OWN.
That's just like ABC, like is who owns what, the Disney Channel and a couple other channels. Disney
I'm just saying, are they reducing us because they are bringing on? They are bringing in women. They are bringing in the 1 Million Dreamers, the 90 women, the 90.
Where's my phone? My phone feel like behind the speaker.
They're doing the 1 Million Dreamers, the 90,000 refugees.
Okay, it's hot under these lights.
Wait a minute, 90,000 refugees, and they're doing the 500,000 Indians and the partridge in the pear tree. I'm just saying, are they getting us ready to be an oddity? That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say the Discovery Channel network, the umbrella, usually deals with oddity channel.
Well,
so I'm just asking.
That was when it was just the one channel, like the Discovery Channel. But now they have an umbrella, and I'm telling you, under the umbrella are different channels that specialize in different shows. Of course, on the Discovery Channel,
we would hope so. But I'm not taking up. I'm not taking up for these Caucasians.
I'm not taking up either. But you want to get the information right.
That's why we're going to bring it next week. But when I looked at it, I said these are all oddity channels.
Oh my God.
Oddity. So
but you didn't know what some of the channels were, so how are you calling them?
If I'm right though, and it's all just oddity channels, what does that mean for OWN? Does that mean that they consider American blacks oddities? I'm just asking.
I mean, I'm saying no because I've seen the other channels.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking.
This is not the only channel that has human beings on it. Like, there's other
usually the human
channels.
beings are out there hunting animals.
No, there's another channel and it has other things other than the wild discovery stuff. It's different. You're talking about just the Discovery Channel by itself that has those shows that was listed, correct?
Right.
But then Discovery as a whole,
right,
and under the umbrella are various channels like TLC, OWN, what is it, Home
They're trying to spread
the Home Network channel.
They're trying to spread out from the oddities. I got it.
My goodness.
I see it. They're trying to branch out from the oddities, right? So people, listen. Before we go, we showed you the image of the zeitgeist.
Okay.
Right? That they're going to try to pull on American blacks, right? Because this happened supposedly. Well, it did happen. But I'm just saying, who was out there actually pushing this is the question, right?
Oh,
so it's very important. So, but I mean, I have video on it, right? Mm-hmm. So you see here, we talked about this at the top in the blurbs, right? Okay. Coming for blacks and Indians first. Welcome to the New World Order. This was the mega, the Million MAGA March. I don't know if they made a million. I don't think it was more like I'll give it a couple of thousand, right? From the way that they covered it. It was probably maybe a couple of thousand. But my main point is, who was the operative that stood out there and said this so that American blacks will get in their head, us and the Indians from India, we've got to be friends. And that's right.
I'm surprised the guy with the thing didn't have the,
poster board?
The poster board in one hand and then Obama's book in the other hand.
Okay.
Because it's the same people.
It's the same people. It's the same people. So
zeitgeist.
It's a zeitgeist, and it's supposed to make you jump to attention and want to say that you and Indians from India are the same.
People need to be focusing on getting prepared to deal with this COVID-19 while we're heading into the winter, and they need to focus on their mental health, physical health. They want you to throw you off track with all of this other bull crap.
They want to keep your mind in a state of constant aggravation, Sister Soldier. So listen, we have told you this, and we told you on #observations TFR that the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be in the hospital when you're in intake. Then you go and you have an Indian doctor. Thanks, Obama. And you don't see yourself as a doctor. We have a lot of work to do, but this is what they're trying to push. So we have the actual video on it. So we didn't want to dwell on it at the beginning, but we're going to close because you have to know what is going on. So let's listen to this real quick. This happened. The cameraman just happens to swing over to it. It just looks strange. And we have to wake you up to keep you conscious and keep you up on what's happening.
I've talked to Republican Party leaders about this. I've said to them, you're going to be in office a long time after President Trump is. The Republican Party is going to long outlast all of us. Aren't you concerned about that? 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 So that's what somebody's going to have to convince the president of. The president isn't a long-term thinker. They're going to have to convince him that it's in his own interest, and that is what he responds to. Like, what is in his interest
we just saw a very disturbing sign. It said, "Coming for blacks and Indians, welcome to the New World Order." I mean, who the hell knows, what people have and what they say on these things? But what do the Republicans tell you? When does the president start to perhaps give a different message? While others think he will never concede or will never give another type of message. And what do you say to the viewers watching right now?
Who cares, American black-wise, we're talking American black-wise, who cares if the president concedes or not? Who cares? On the bigger scheme of things, who cares? Let's keep it. We're talking about American black situation now. Who cares? Whoever is in there, we got to keep our pedal to the metal on them, because the people who are playing these games, who are putting these zeitgeist up, are the same people who are getting ready to get into office. You see? It's the same zeitgeist. These are zeitgeists, and it's going to It's not sight. It's zeit. Zeit. It's a German term. Zeitgeist. The same people who have you bent up on that will have you controlled with emotion. And plus, here's another thing. Here's another thing that's true about this as we close out the show. We've had a dynamic show today as we close out with a little American black politic. Look, truth is, why post that anyway? I told you the person who posted that, they're about money, and they're probably going to try to get with the Indian to try to get money from the Indian. It's going to drive American blacks to go shop with the Indian, and that's going to defeat our purpose as American black and building our economic base. Okay? But here's the reality of it.
Right.
What you gonna do about it? A lot of people are out of shape. They've got the spare tire. They got the Dunlap. Like, they've been talking about the revolution. You know, it takes more than just, you got to keep moving. Character is movement. That's what makes a character. Character is action.
Right.
You have to keep moving. You can't be in a house and think everything's going to be out, because they're going to drop a bomb on you. You got to keep moving. Then you got to move stealthily so that the missiles from the drones can't get you.
Right.
What are you doing? I mean, why are you posting this?
You know, because
to get people's heart all
you
pumped
know why.
up. What you gonna do about it?
They want people to, if they can keep the people's attention looking in this direction, looking at the shiny object, they can be doing their dirt on this side, because people are focusing on this, and they could be passing laws.
That's right.
Right, and passing mandatory vaccinations.
That's right.
Putting money in their pockets.
That's right.
You know, illegally dealing with other countries when they're supposed to be the head of state in America. Meanwhile, they're making personal deals with other countries, getting rich and sacrificing Americans. But then the Americans are looking at the shiny object instead of looking at this politician that they done voted in office to see what he's doing.
Right. Meanwhile, they're going to use the Indians as, you know, police say one officer per 100. Right. So if you have an event, and you have 1,000 people coming, you got to have 10 officers.
Okay.
Right. Now, some people skim, whatever, but for the most part, per 100, one officer. If you have 500,000, and they put them in a certain area to be buffer between you and the dwindling Caucasian number. Just like they do in Africa, the Asians have the Indian police force as buffers between them and the Africans that they are recolonizing as they become established Chinese African citizens. But, you know, you can't tell people anything. So we just put the information out there for you. Let you have it. You do what you will. But the main point is, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Right? Some people
have fallen into, they may not be politicians, but some people make a living out of causing confusion, and they're only thinking about themselves and their pockets.
That's true.
So it's not really just the politicians. You have some people who are just everyday people, and if their job is just hustling however they can to make a living, they will cause confusion just to get money however they can. Because
there are people who make money off of the downtroddenness of American
I've seen a lot of leeches.
And I'm talking about your own. They look like
That's what we're talking about.
They wouldn't want anything that really cleans it up, because if you clean it up, then they don't know how to continue to Right. So people, anything else?
That's it.
All right. So people, this has been another great episode of #TFR Podcast Live. We come on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Smash the subscribe button, the like button. The Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, society, podcast. We are your husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, society. On this podcast we call #TFR Podcast Live.
The Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, society, podcast. Interviews, movie reviews, and more. live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching The Film Review.